Hi, today I will be showing you how to make the puffed sleeve from the Pippa pattern. So it's a sleeve that has some volume that is created by a lining inside. It's the same sleeve as in our new Rosie pattern, so if you want to make that one and you need some help, you can just use this tutorial as well. Happy sewing! So when you're making the puffed sleeve, you will need two pattern pieces, the outer layer, which is the puffed sleeve itself. For the Pippa pattern, this is piece number 6, and then the short sleeve, which is piece number 5, and this will serve as a sleeve lining. So I'm starting off by stitching the side seams, right sides together. Here I've started with the sleeve lining, but you'll have to do the same for the outer sleeve, the puffed sleeve, of course. You don't necessarily need to overlock the side seams because it will all be enclosed in the sleeve, but you can, of course, if you prefer to. So now we're going to gather the hem of the puffed sleeve. So we're going to start by e-stitching using the largest stitch on your sewing machine at 1.5 centimeter from the edge. And then we're going to do a second round, but this time at 1 centimeter from the edge. Don't back tack at the start or at the finish, and make sure you have some long threads hanging so you can easily pull them when gathering the hem. So now we gather the hem of the puffed sleeve so it matches the hem of the sleeve lining. I usually pull all the fabric together, maybe indicate the markings first with a pin, and then I slowly distribute it again so it matches the hem of the sleeve lining. I then pin it together and then we can stitch the two hems together. So now we will stitch the two layers of the hem together at 1.5 centimeter from the edge. I like to stitch with the gathers on top so you can really see how they pass under your presser foot. After this you can remove the gathering threads. Also check between the two layers to remove them because sometimes they get a little stuck in the stitching. Now it's time to stitch the elastic to both seam allowances of the sleeve, and you have to work on the wrong side of the sleeve. Make sure you only stitch it to the seam allowances. First you need to mark the center of the elastic. You also need the middle of the sleeve, but that's already indicated with the marking. And then you start by stitching one end of the elastic to the seam allowance of the side seam by backtacking. So now we will be pinning the middle of the elastic to the center marking of the sleeve. While you're stitching, you will need to pull the elastic as you go. This isn't an easy part, but it doesn't have to be super straight because you won't see it anyway. When you reach the center, you can pin the other end, the ending of the elastic to the seam allowance again, at the other side seam, so where you started. And then again, stretch the elastic as you go and stitch it in place until the side seam. Don't forget to back tack at the end. Now pull the sleeve inside out, and then you need to pull the lining into the sleeve. Make sure that the elastic is nicely put inside. You have to pull the fabric a bit. And then you can pin the heads of the sleeves together. You also need to gather the cap of the sleeve and then kind of pull the threads so it fits the cap of the sleeve lining, and then you can pin all around. So the last step that I'm showing here is to attach the two caps of the sleeve. So it's not your final stitching, it just makes it easier to attach the sleeve into the armhole. So the cap of the sleeve also needs to be gathered, and then you can pin both caps together with obviously the markings matching.